Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my first video. With the All-Star break ending and the second half of the season getting underway tomorrow, I thought it'd be a good idea to look at some of the MVP odds. So I pulled up the top 10 players here and what their odds are, and I'm just gonna kind of go over what I think where there might be some value, what my pick is, and also some players that I think you should stay away from. And I'm going to jump into that right now. The first player that I would kind of consider staying away from or shying away from would be Giannis. Now, it has nothing to do with his stat line, it has nothing to do with the Bucks' record, but I think that there might be some voter fatigue when it comes to Giannis. He's the two-time defending league MVP, and even though it's a regular season award, if you're deemed the best player, the most valuable player in the league, you're going to need to have some success in the playoffs. And seeing that his second MVP season, he did worse in the playoffs than his first, I don't really see a lot of voters looking too favorably on Giannis and giving him his third MVP with what they've seen in return in the playoffs. If he was coming off, I'm not even saying a ring is necessary for him to be considered to get a three-time MVP, but a finals appearance I think might even push him up into the consideration to get his third. But he made it to the conference finals in his first MVP season, and he failed to get there in his second. So I think a lot of the voters, as I said, they're going to be looking at that as a reason not to be giving him his third, because I think a lot of people will think he didn't deserve it because of his playoff performance. And again, I do understand this is a regular season award, but I do think that voters would be a little bit tougher on Giannis and not awarding him his third straight MVP because of his shortcomings in the playoffs. So another guy's got the same odds as Giannis, 2,200. I would shy away from putting money on these two guys. Another one is Harden. And again, not because of the Nets record and not because of his stats. Leading the league in assists, he's been great since he got to the Nets. But that's the thing. He had a whole thing, and everyone remembers, he had a whole thing down in Houston where he was basically just being a dick. You know what I mean? He did what he had to do to get to the situation where he wanted to be. I understand that. And there's no way he would be in Brooklyn right now if he hadn't have done what he did. But that doesn't mean that the voters are going to be looking favorably on him to, award his behavior by giving him an MVP. Even though he's obviously in the MVP discussion, he's got the sixth best odds, and his stats, prove it. But with everything that happened in Houston, I'd be very, very surprised if James Harden got a lot of first place MVP votes. Same thing with Durant. I don't know if he's going to have enough games played to be considered in the running for the MVP. He's already missed a handful of games here in the first half of the season, and with him coming back from that injury, I do think that the Nets will be conscious of his minutes and even sitting him out maybe a couple of games for load management. I do think that the Nets match up well with the majority of Eastern Conference playoff teams. So as long as they're in that top four range, I really don't think that the Nets would risk burning out Durant. Durant getting the rest that he needs, and if that means sacrificing an MVP push, then I think he would be fine with that, and the Nets would definitely lean towards making sure that he's ready for the playoffs. Surprise you because he's the odds-on favorite right now, but I'd say I wouldn't be putting money on LeBron James right now because I do think that it's going to get to a point with him that he's going to be weighing the options of really getting that push for league MVP and how that's going to affect his push for a fifth ring. AD's been out recently, and even before AD being out, LeBron's been playing a lot of minutes. And he's this is his 18th season. He's getting up there in years. Obviously, it's not showing on the court most nights. He still looks like he's in his prime, but it might get to that point where he's looking at his minutes being played and where the Lakers are in the standings, and he might see a week or two where he's got some cupcakes and gimmies on the schedule. He might take some nights off, some fourth quarters off, just a little bit of load management. He might sacrifice his MVP push, which he seems to really be gunning for. Given that the Lakers had a very, very short off season, and I think rings are are the main priority or the main focus in LeBron's head, if it means pulling back a little bit on his minutes in the regular season and maybe sacrificing his push for that MVP to make sure he still has enough in the tank for the a long playoff push for his 5th ring, I can very easily see him taking a little bit of a step back from the level he's been playing at, just to almost a little bit of load management. So my pick for MVP is Joel Embiid. He's got the 2nd best odds right now. He's plus 250, and the Sixers are the best team in the East at 24-12. He's really putting up some really good numbers. He's at 30 points per game, 11.5 rebounds. But the big thing is he's almost on a 50-40-90 pace with his splits there. It's going to take a bit, especially with the amount that he gets to the line, to get his free throw percentage up to 90 might be a tall task. That's one big thing with Embiid, especially using him in the playoffs, is he's not going to fall into like a hack-a-shack situation. He's fantastic from the line. Not only are you going to be able to use him down the stretch, he better be your number 1 option, because he's been unstoppable at times down low. So yeah, if the Sixers keep up their pace and they finish off, one of the top 2 spots in the East, then I think that this award is right now. I think this award is Embiid's to lose. These next 2 players, I think their team's situations give them the best potential to earn the MVP in the second half of the year, and that the first player would be Luka Doncic. His numbers speak for themselves. He's always hovering around that triple-double mark. And outside of Bradley Beal, he's got the 2nd highest usage in the league. So he's definitely going to have the ball in his hands. The offense is running through him. And the Mavs had a lot of different things going against them in the first half. You know what I mean? They had some injuries. They had some COVID stuff. And, they're still sitting at the 8th spot right now in the West. So if Doncic catches fire and, say, averages 35 points per game and averages a triple-double and gets the Mavs up to like the 5th seed or the 4th seed, that might be enough to sway some voters into saying, hey, Luka definitely took this borderline playoff team on his back and secured them maybe, let's say home court advantage for the playoffs or something like that. That could be enough in some voters' eyes to vote for him for MVP. And like I said, he does not have to worry about stats. He's got the stats, and that's a given. But if he's got these stats and the Mavs are in the 7th seed, then I really don't see him walking away with the MVP. But if he can drag this Mavs team, up the Western Conference standings, then there's an outside shot of him getting the MVP. So yeah, like I said, Doncic, he does have that outside chance if the Mavs catch fire. But another team and another player that's like that is Denver, and the player with the 3rd best odds at MVP at plus 440 is Nikola Jokic. And he's been a beast. If you just look at his stats, he's just like Luka. He's hovering around that triple-double range. But I mentioned it with Embiid, where he was kind of sniffing around that 50-40-90 club. Jokic is even closer. He's at 88.1 free throws. So he does have a realistic chance if he can, keep his free throws up. Jokic is a very efficient player. I can definitely see him keeping his field goal and 3-point percentages up. And if he can bump that free throw up into the 90, then I believe he would be like the 8th person in league history to average the 50-40-90. Jokic's usage rate obviously isn't as high as Luka's. He does have a Jamal Murray on his team that does have the ball in his hands a lot of the time. The Nuggets offense runs through Jokic. One of my favorite things to watch on League Pass is point guard Jokic. When you see that 7-foot bear rumbling and stumbling down the court, it's awesome. I don't know how he does it. He looks so uncoordinated at times and looks so slow, but he's one of the best passers the league has ever seen. So if the Nuggets can get hot and reel off a few wins and climb up the board, and if Jokic can get that 50-40-90, and there's that potential that even averaging a triple-double. I'm not saying Jokic was, didn't have any respect in the past couple of years, but he's definitely seen more respect this year with the, his consideration for MVP. So just like with Doncic, if Jokic can get on a run, keep these stats up, these are MVP numbers clearly. And if he can just take his Nuggets into, that fourth seed, maybe he could get some consideration for the MVP. I don't see that as being, out of the ordinary. I did say that Embiid was my MVP, but I would strongly consider, maybe putting a little bit of money on Jokic right now at 440, just because I do think that he has the chance to make history with two different stat lines here, with averaging the triple-double and averaging the 50-40-90. That would be incredible, and especially if he can, carry the Nuggets to, a fourth seed or something like that. I can definitely see him garnering some MVP votes. So you might say, hey, if you're saying that Jokic and Doncic can, drag their teams into a higher playoff spot and potentially get MVP votes, why can't Steph Curry? And I'm not saying that it's impossible for him to do it. I just don't think that Golden State is as good of a team as the Nuggets or the Mavs are right now. And obviously, Curry is a world-class player, two-time MVP, fourth best odds right now at 1,300. I just don't see Golden State doing much in the playoffs. I don't see them, going on a run and getting up into like the fifth or fourth spot or anything like that. So there was a little bit of hype heading into the season, thinking that Golden State could, make the playoffs or make a little bit of run here. Curry is going to be healthy and Clay is going to be healthy. Draymond's obviously not what he was back in 2015, but he's still a very good defensive player. And even though he seems to have completely taken the offensive side off, he doesn't want anything to do with offense. Sometimes you can tell he has fun when he's doing his little point guard Draymond thing, where he's jumping around and pointing at everyone, doing all that stuff. He seems to like, running the point a little bit. But other than that, he's just, kind of focused on the defensive side. And if he gets 2 points at the line, you might be lucky that that's all you get, offensively one night. So as little as the offensive side was a priority to Draymond, a couple years ago and in his prime, it's even less that now. He just seems to completely defer on the offense and, and still be a relatively good defender. But this team, I just don't think they're as good as the Mavs or as good as the Nuggets. I mean, they have a good young player in James Wiseman. He was playing well for a good part of the year. And then when Draymond came back, he seems to be riding Wiseman pretty hard and seems to be affecting his confidence a little bit. But I think that's just a little stumbling block. He's still playing well, and that's going to be a very good pickup for Golden State in the future. But unfortunately, this just was another kind of, not a lost season as bad as last year was for Golden State. But it was just enough things happened to kind of dump on this team again that sure, they might sneak into the 8th seed, but I don't really see them being, a serious playoff contender. So even though Curry's odds are pretty high there, the 4th highest, I really don't see him having a chance at winning MVP. So thank you for those of you who have made it to the end of the video. I know it might be a little hard right now to listen to this. I'm just trying to get all these things figured out. I know I don't have any video playing and stuff like that. I'm just kind of going with this as it goes. This seems to be the best I have right now, where it's the still images with a voiceover. But I'm going to try and get better at this, get some video editing skills. But I just want to get this channel going, and hopefully you guys like the video, and I'll keep making more. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. Like I said, let me know in the comments what you guys think, who you think will be the MVP, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.